So what the heck is the difference between guitar scales and guitar modes? It's a question that has plagued guitarists and new guitarists for a long time. And I think you're going to be amazed at how easy the explanation is to really understand where, when, why, how to use modes versus just using your typical guitar scales. So let's give you a quick guitar tutorial on just that and get to it. Hey, as always, thank you for being here. I truly do appreciate you. And if you want to see these videos, which I highly recommend, outside of the long form stuff, we do all the shorts all the time. So make sure that you like, you subscribe, you click the alerts, and you share it with anybody that you need to or feel would get value. And if you've already done that, thank you. So recently I did a massive series here on YouTube all about the scale positions of the major scale. We focused on everything from position 1 into position 7 of the G major scale, going the entire distance of the fretboard. Just in case you missed that, I'll make sure I put that up on the screen now so that you can start to dig in after this video. But I got one major question from that entire series. Am I playing modes? Isn't this a mode? Are you sure this isn't a mode, not a scale? Why is this considered a scale when I play it like a mode? What is a mode versus a guitar scale? So I figured it was time to record a quick overview and tutorial and guitar lesson on just that. So one of the key reasons I really wanted to teach everybody the positions of the major scale first and initially is because every single thing that you can do on the guitar is really based on the major scale initially. Like when we consider the minor scale, it's just technically a pattern that we find already in position 6 of our major scale. When we think of the pentatonic scales, they're all built from the standard major scale. We just drop off certain notes. Yet even the minor pentatonic is built initially from the major scale. It's even why we compare all of these note values and numbers and accidentals in the way we do. It's why for a minor triad we say 1 flat 3 5. Because we're talking a flat third compared to the major third. The major scale is the natural scale that we focus on and compare everything to. But also, when we start to learn all of these positions of the major scale, we're learning something that we didn't realize we were learning as well. And there's a distinction here, disclaimer. What I'm about to say, you have to pay attention. The patterns of each position can be considered modes, but it's not the patterns that make them the modes. You confused yet? I hope not. What I mean by that is in certain context, all of these patterns can live on their own as modes, but there's something we have to do or focus on before they become a mode instead of a part of our major scale. So let's first of all remember that if we start position 1 of G major, we're talking major scale right now at our 3rd fret, and we play through position 1, and then we move on to position 2 on that 5th fret, position 3 on the 7th fret, and we do everything that we did in that series. There's something going on in the background. There are chordal tones. There are resolving tones. There's what we like to call tonal center. There's a reason when you're playing in the key of G major, you usually start and end on a G major chord. And that's because that feels like resolution. It feels like you're resolving a part, a phrase, the song, a section of the song. Our ears know that that note means we're complete. It's the resolving tone. It's what we build all of the song and the items that go into the song, including scales and riffs, all around. We're always knowing, okay, we're always going to go back to that G major because that's our resolving tonal center. So if I play position 1 where I need to, into position 2, into position 3, and so on, but the entire time I'm playing over G major focused chords from the G major scale, I'm just playing in the key of G major the whole time, even though I'm using all of these different patterns. And this is where a lot of people get confused, majorly. And I understand, I was as well for a very long time. I always used to think about, okay, that first position of the major scale, that's my Ionian mode. And then if I move up and I play the Dorian mode starting on my 5th fret, it fits in G major. That's going to be the Dorian mode I'm playing, but I'm playing it within G major. And then if I go up to the 3rd position, that's Phrygian, but I'm playing it in G major. Wrong. Very wrong. While these patterns, when broken apart, are your modal patterns. So your first position is the Ionian mode pattern. Your second position is the Dorian mode pattern. The third position is your Phrygian pattern. The fourth is your Lydian pattern. The fifth is your Mixolydian pattern. The sixth is your Aeolian pattern. And the seventh is your Locrian pattern. They aren't those position names at all if you're playing them all around a G major chord progression that resolves and focuses around the chords of G major. No, you're just playing G major the whole time, all over the fretboard. You're not doing Phrygian anything if you're playing on the 7th fret and G major is underneath of you and you're playing a Phrygian mode pattern. You're playing the G major scale. So again, the distinction here is while you could break all of these apart and they are technically mode patterns, they don't become modes until we focus on a modal tone. A tonal center, a resolving center of tone that brings in the feeling of those modes. Now, if you don't believe me, let me give you an example of what I'm talking about here. Let me play a G major chord, and over that G major chord, I'm going to play Phrygian, but I'm going to start it on my 7th fret of my low E, which is technically just position 3 of the G major scale. But a lot of people think, oh, I'm playing in Phrygian, but with G. It just sounds like the G major scale. Take a listen. But what if we take that pattern, that thing that I just said is the actual pattern of Phrygian, but in this case, when we started on the 7th fret with a G underneath, it's just G major. Let's shift that all the way down to starting on that 3rd fret. So starting on G. So I'll just have a G power chord going in the background, and you'll be able to hear me move that position down here. So moving that pattern. So instead of it being 7, 8, 10, 7, 9, 10, 7, 9, 10, and so on, it's going to be 3, 4, 6, 3, 5, 6, 3, 5, 6. Same exact pattern. I'm just shifting it to start on the 3rd fret. And that's the difference. So again, while you've learned all of these individual positions and patterns, and you can start to think of them as modal patterns, they're not really that until you focus on what's underneath. What are the chords you're using? What are the tones you're using? What are those tonal center notes or chords that you are trying to pursue? That's when it becomes a mode rather than a scale. Now with that, they still all connect beautifully. And by that I mean when we're starting with that G and that's underneath of what we're playing, and we start with that G Phrygian, it still connects as if we were thinking about our major scale positions. So moving forward, you can use that same position you know of as position 4 now, but it'll start here, and then you could start here, and you could keep going from there. And they all connect the same, but again, we're focusing on a different chord than we normally would. And the chord that we're focusing on makes all of that this focus, this G focus. And when we start with our G Phrygian, we're now writing in the mode and the modal tones of G Phrygian. I'll give you an example of that as well in terms of what I mean. So when we think about Phrygian, and I'll do B Phrygian only because it'll make sense from all of our shapes that we learned in G major. We know that we go position 1, 2, 3. Position 3, when broken apart, like we've been talking about, is Phrygian. So if we do this 7th fret of the low E as our focal tone, then that just means that we'll start playing that Phrygian pattern. But again, they all connect. So I could play the same exact positions that I was before in the areas that I know of them when I'm jamming on G major. But now my tonal center is this B. I'm not hitting G. I'm not resolving to G. I'm hitting and resolving on this B note instead. So I'm just going to be going 8, 7, 8, 7, so that you could hear it always coming back to this B. Here's the beauty. It's going to be the same exact notes that you know and love in G major. But now that this is our tonal center, it's going to sound like B Phrygian. Now, hopefully it's starting to really connect in certain ways and new ways for you in terms of modes versus guitar scales. But I know that there's probably a lot more that we need to dig into, and we need to do it step by step so that it really cooks in there. So, question for you right off the bat. We've already done the major scale focus, where every single week we went through a new position of the major scale and linked them all together slowly but surely. Should we do the same exact thing with modes? Again, giving you a really good understanding of the distinction between guitar scales and guitar modes, but also really giving you a solid education and foundation on how to implement and use every single mode. Let me know in the comments. Let me know any specific questions you have and want answered in those videos as well. Make sure you like, subscribe, click the alerts, and share with anybody that you need to. And I look forward to reading your responses and seeing you in the next video.